They run from before sunset till after sunrise. Before sunrise until after sunset, and that you can see will be the 12-hour bus, and you can see the bus driver holding them back. I'm sure there are a few people straining at the leash, wanting to finish a bit quicker, but they've done this journey together. They're going to finish it together. Medal in the bag, thanks to the support and the camaraderie of the runners around them.
Indeed, summing up the camaraderie of this magnificent event as well. Willie, a tweet coming in saying, why do we not see more Kenyans entering this race? You got any thoughts and views on that?
Yeah, when we speak about Comrades marathons, it's not a very easy race, compared to other races in other countries. Comrades, it's up and down, and there's a lot of pain on it here. And that's why you find out when the Kenyan, they come here, they battle to finish in the first 10 in Comrades. Siyabona ke i-Comrades marathon ngempela akubona umjaho olula lona uyesinda ngempela bangengasho tena lapha insizwa nje uzibona nje zikhathele manje bezikhuphuka zehla zenyuka kusukela ekuseni kuze koshona ilanga zikhathele. Siyabona ke manje ukuthi ke bafinisha baningi ngempela. Siyalibona ibhantshi laphana ke labagijimi abaningi laphana bazofinisha bagijima bonke bayasizana. Kusethi ke lo phambili no asingagijimanga kakhulu bavele sesiyoqeda, kanti siyabona abanye bagijima ngamaflegi ba-celebrate, abanye bafisela abangani babo ukuthi nabo next year baphinde bazojoyina lapha bazogijima i-Comrades marathon.
Well, Dad's 20th in a row, Mom's 18th in a row, and they're still beating us. Oh no, not the humiliation. They've completed the Comrades Marathon. Batman, I saw Batman, Ross, enter the stadium.
Yeah, all the way from Gotham City, Batman here to do the Comrades. I'm not sure whether his race has gone exactly according to plan or whether that was the goal, but he's finishing just ahead of that 12-hour bus. We should see him come in shortly. Here we see another woman, I think, overcome with emotion for people who she's running in memory of, and so that's what this is about now. So for the next sort of 15 minutes, you're seeing people who have carried themselves for all those reasons, from Pietermaritzburg to Durban, and you can see the ecstasy and the fatigued euphoria of these athletes, and this is exactly what makes this race such an icon in the South African calendar. Here we see a man who has actually completing his 10th Comrades in 10 days. Extraordinary performance. The Penguin guy, this is Hilton Murray. And these guys started out 9 days ago from Johannesburg, and they have run the equivalent distance of Comrades every day since. We had an interview earlier with Hazel Moller. She was one of 3. Unfortunately, illness and injury put paid to the others, but Hilton has done it. He'd done 9 Comrades before he lined up on the start line this morning, and he's now about to finish the 10th. An absolutely incredible achievement, Dwayne.
Incredible achievement indeed. He comes in behind athletes who are running the race in support of cancer and cancer awareness. Oh, the Penguin bobbing on the head. Hilton Murray, that's a titanic effort to have run the equivalent of 10 Comrades marathons over this course. So that's nearly 1,000 kilometers over a week and a half period. That is simply astonishing. He's coming home inside the final 15 minutes of this race.
Siyabona ngempela ukuthi ke insizwa lapha ziyagijima, siyayibona enye insizwa ende elapha phezulu ke efake isithombe senyoni lapha ekhanda, kodwa ithi no, ngizawufinisha le race noma kanjani. Bathanda bengathandi kodwa ngizofinisha. Nalo kwele bhantshi bawethathe ngilisho ukuthi bagijima hamba lonke lapha nabegijima beyibhantshi bazofinisha njengamanje sibabona beyigroup nje nabezofinisha enkulu ibhasi lena ke. Sizoqala ke ukubona amabhasi ende siyayibona intokazi lapha ke eyiyona elidayo le bhantshi no, abangagijimi fast, asigijime nje sonke sifinishe isikanje ukubabona nje na siyabona bajabule ngempela, amandla sekhona nje ukubabona beqhuma nje.
Here's that 12-hour bus now arriving, and that's the biggest bus of the day, ably driven by its bus drivers today. So a lot of athletes will show some gratitude, I'm sure, to the people who've helped them through. What you'll find in these buses is they'll encourage you to slow down, when to walk, when to speed up, when to run faster on some of the descents or uphills, and so they've done it comfortably. In fact, 14 minutes to spare, so that's actually quite a comfortable 12-hour performance for these athletes. And of course, every single one of them celebrating, and while they might. Bonds have been made on the road today. People, in many instances, have never spoken before, and they may never do so again. But for the 11 hours and whatever it is that they've shared today, they have been absolutely in sync, in step, and sharing something that really will stay with them forever.
remarkable scene down there at the finish when you stand on that finish line in the last hour, and the emotional input and the emotional power of that, and the tweets coming in. I'm 30 years old, we're running the Comrades Marathon. Dear future wife, love that one. Jessica Mollett says, supposed to be revising my last chapter, instead I got sucked into watching the Comrades during my break. I hope it was a very, very long break. Jordan Turner says, well done to all the athletes, you have done your country's proud. I agree with that. Lots of international runners down there, and the tweets coming in thick and fast. But that bus was just phenomenal. I don't know how many. I've never ever seen such a big bus, Bruce, in ever my Comrades career. It must have been 300-400 people strong.
I think there'll still be another bus, because we've got 12-13 minutes to go. I think we could see another bus of equal size coming in.
Well, as I said, the emotional content of these runners is huge, and if you look closely at them, when you run on that line, most of them are smiling, and it's just the power of finishing and the happiness and the euphoria and the messages coming through from people, not only on that's Elvis Blue, the winner of Idols of Whittleback, special one for me, the 30th one in a row that I didn't do. Well done, Elvis. Well, there's a target for you next year. There's Nikki Bolter can do it, so can you, mate.
Well, yes, here we've got the sort of guys coming in between the two 12-hour buses, because that guy that took that 12-hour bus timed it very well, but then he probably realized that he had quite a crew and he had to get the first ones across the finish line. And here's the second wave of the 12-hour finishers.
Well, you don't want to go away just yet, but we'll just follow that massive bus. We'll stay with them outside the stadium, and 11:49:02. So they've got 11 minutes to go, and it's a gigantic bus. Bruce, you're dead right. There are two 12-hour buses out.
Yeah, this will be the final bus, but just because you've fallen off the back of the bus doesn't mean you're not going to make it, as long as you can keep this bus in sight. Any one of those runners behind them down the road, keep the flags in sight, and you're going to make it as well.
Certainly, and I think there's a Father Christmas suit in there somewhere, and he's bringing some Christmas presents to all the folks around him, because this is an achievement of note. So there they're going to come, and we've had the marriage proposals over the years. But as I was saying, the emotional and the happiness, and you know what, they've all battled, they've struggled today, they've struggled with their training, but somehow, Bruce and Helen, when you get over that line, it's kind of all worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely, and especially if any of these are novices, they're going to be overcome with emotion. There they were 12 hours ago, standing anxious in Pietermaritzburg. Are they going to make it? Were they going to make it? They've made it, and they're just going to feel so proud.
I wonder how many of these walkers here, but the Comrades runners have said to themselves a few hours ago, never, ever, ever again. I'm so proud of myself, but never, ever again. 90% of them, in somewhere between 1 hour and 2 days from now, will make the decision to say, I wonder what the uprun is like. Time to do the uprun.
And I'll bet you once these folks get onto the grass, there's going to be no more walking. They're going to jog all the way around. And there's the guy in the Father Christmas suit. He comes from F Batch, and I wonder if he went the whole way in that outfit.
Well, listening to the chaps, they were saying it was quite humid during the course of the race, so he might have felt quite uncomfortable at certain times if he did run the whole way in this outfit.
Well, in fact, he's wearing a Brazilian flag, so if he came from Rio, this will be quite cool by their standards. That's the hottest place I've ever been to in my life. Obviously, there's a rhino suit in there somewhere, and one of the huge charity drives is the Wildlands Conservation Trust, and money just poured into them. A lot of it going to the rhino conservation anti-poaching exercise, but not all of it, but amazing amount of support for the Wildlands and their anti-poaching initiatives, and the money going in there. One of the 6 charities, the others Pink Tribe and Starfish Sports Trust, and a couple of others. So there is this huge bus. I wonder if they're going to start jogging when they get to the grass.
Well, I think they're going to have to sort of pick it up and just keep moving, because there seems so many of these athletes on the track that it's starting to get a little bit congested and blocked. So we've had the one Comrades where we had to sort of open up the finish area just to let the guys get across that final mat.
8 minutes to go now for this group, and the folks on the track now on the grass will in fact make it to the end, and as I thought, they will jog across the line. And the stadium is a riot of colour. The sun is set over in the west, the floodlights are on at Kingsmead, and there are just people everywhere, in the grandstands, the club tents, around the far side as the folks going past, here on the finish, up on the grandstand here looking down on this. A wonderful, wonderful scene. Bruce, I just somehow feel that the finish here, the down run at Kingsmead, is just the most special feeling, especially right at the end.
Well, it's very dramatic, and as we mentioned earlier, what's incredible is to think that these people started in the dark 12 hours ago, just under 12 hours ago, and they're finishing in the dark. It's a full day out there, an incredible adventure for a full day, and in that day you live a lifetime.
You do, and the enormity of the achievement for especially the novices, and there were over 3,000 novices on the start line this morning. They're telling, let's bring these folks home, and there is a huge cheer around the ground. You can't really hear it from here, but it's a cacophony of sound. The announcers, the music, and the cheers of the crowds, and the screams and shouts of the runners themselves. It's an amazing feeling.
Just over 6 minutes left, and they're going to all quite comfortably make it. They all look pretty happy, and some will be saying never again, but I think the majority look as though that they're kind of sort of eyeing up when can they get that entry form in, which is going to be opening again in a couple of months' time.
Well, just over 11,200 have gone over the finish line. I guess that's going to be boosted up to perhaps 11,700. There is already 11,300 nearly coming up. And I think we might get about 12,000 people finishing, which, Bruce, is actually 2,000 more than last year.
Well, of course, last year was such a tough year. Conditions this year a lot kinder. I've been chatting to some of the runners down on the field. They said very damp and humid from the bottom of Fields Hill onwards, but not nearly as hot and as pleasant as last year.
6 minutes and counting. And the happiness and the euphoria of these people will be transformed in around about 5 minutes to, firstly, desperation for the people that want to make it, and then, secondly, abject sadness and disappointment for those folks that don't. But right now, we're in the euphoria phase, and these folks coming over with just over 5 minutes to go.
Well, the one gift that all these runners get when they finish this race is they've got an automatic qualification, an entry for next year. So they've qualified. They don't have to stress for the next 12 months.
And those who are going to make it will have to be in the last kilometre at this stage. Anybody who's turning into the last kilometre will not make it now, because obviously these runners don't have the speed to be able to get on their toes and run a 3-minute K at the end of the race. So these are our finishers.
Around about 15 minutes ago, the Unagwaja cyclists finished in a great big bunch together, so that was great. So well done to John McEnroy and the rest of the Unagwaja folks that cycled in memory of Phil Masterton all the way from Cape Town to Pietermaritzburg, and then ran the Comrades Marathon. Of course, Unagwaja, Phil Masterton Smith actually did that way back in the 1930s. Cycled because he couldn't raise the money to get the train fare. So that was a huge charity drive. They're going to raise hundreds of thousands of rands for the Amabidi charity. So right now it is 4.5 minutes to go and counting. Some runners in better shape than others, and you are allowed to kind of help people across, but the rule now is you mayn't carry them. It's going to be touch and go for those three. I wonder if they were leaving. They're going to get him around, and it's quite far around the track, Helen.
It is, and it's quite a tall ask, but I think that just demonstrates the whole spirit of this day. Those people are risking, are they going to get a medal, are they not, by standing back and just helping someone that they've possibly met on the route. They're helping them finish this race and also just get that much sought after medal.
And they've got 4 minutes, so they've got to get this run around in 4 minutes' time. Hope he can help them a little bit by moving his legs and trying to take some steps and some strides towards the finish.
Well, some of the milestones today have been achieved. Frankie van Skalkwyk did get her 30th with a lot of time to spare, looking very comfortable. But Dave Rogers running his 46th race, Bruce, I fear that Dave Rogers hasn't made it. He went through halfway in over 6 hours, and that would be desperately sad for Dave and Wendy and the family. But Dave now is really stretching it to get there, and I'm not sure if he'll come back, but you never know with Dave.
I've been down at the green number tent. I didn't see Dave Rogers. Did see Dave Williams, who didn't make it last year, completing his 40th this year. So he's in. But yes, as you say, I haven't seen Dave Rogers.
Well, with the clock ticking over and 3 minutes left, we've got the crowd just yelling and encouraging these people, willing them on, especially these guys helping this chap who's in a little bit of distress. They just want him to get across the line and get that medal. He's been out there sort of struggling for 12 hours, well, not necessarily struggling, but put himself there for 12 hours. Let's hope he makes it.
A huge proportion of the field finished in the last hour, 11,765 and counting. We're going to get, probably won't get as high as 12,000, but that is a good finishing proportion. Normally around about 87% of the folks that line up eventually make it to the finish line on the day. 11 hours 57 and a half, and it now starts getting a little bit scary for some of these people.
And who will get the Battler's Trophy? There's the trophy, of course, for the person who is the last across the line. And we wonder who's going to get that one.
Well, Colin Khurson, of course, was the famous crawler way back when. Colin Khurson ran many, many Comrades, very, very good runner. But he became legendary for crawling across the line. We haven't seen too many crawlers today, but this guy getting some assistance as he makes his way over the finish line. 2 minutes to go.
Well, they're streaming in, and yeah, I think if you've got to have been on the track now, so you should have entered the stadium if you want to get in under that 12-hour barrier.
Crowd going absolutely crazy, and the guy with the green shirt that got helped, well, he's made it. H-Patch, of course, is the folks that started way back. This morning they took 8 minutes to cross the start line. So for them, this is an 11 hour 50 Comrades. If they're 11 at 58, Peter Proctor helping him. Peter Proctor, the vice chair of Comrades Association, helping the guy. So it is 11:59 counting. We're into the last minute, and the people that are on the track now are trying, they know the time because it's getting screamed at them. And in fact, Bruce, it looks like it's thinning out a bit.
It does look like it's thinning out, and these people are not going to make it. This is terribly sad. These ones out on the road are not going to make it. They simply don't have enough time to get round the track. It's a good 400 meters, and that's a very sad sight to see them struggling still, but still with the comrade spirit, still trying to make it, and still saying, well, if I can't get a medal, at least I can run into the stadium and say I went from Pietermaritzburg to Durban.
And so many of them will, in fact, not necessarily cross the line, but they'll go right up to the line and just say, look, well, I did it, and who knows, maybe next year we'll do it. Okay, 20 seconds, 22 seconds, 21, and the gun is up in the air, and on the right are the officials waiting to dart across, and it is 10 seconds to go, 9, 8, and those guys just inching up to them, a couple of seconds to go. Who will be the last man or woman across the line? There's the gun, and we'll see, we'll find the first person not to make it and the last person to make it.
Looks like the lady from Westville may have been the last person to have made it. She literally dived at the line in that last second. Westville lady looks like she's got the Battler's Trophy.
And I think it is going to be that gentleman with a D batch number that is not going to be make it. But Quena will be down there hoping, getting a word, and let's see what Quena has to say.
Well, I'm here with Shadrach, the last man to make it here. Shadrach, how does it feel today just to get here and be the final person to make the cutoff for the Comrades Marathon 2014?
It's unbelievable for me. It's unbelievable to say so.
Yeah.
Because it's from the last 25 kilo, I started to walk until now.
And training yako, ihambe kanjani?
I'm training that's so bad.
It was not bad. It was bad. This is your fifth Comrades Marathon. Did you find that this one was different, and why so?
Because I can say it was difficult, especially at I think it's 49, from 49, when it was after, I think it's before Drummond or after Drummond. Yeah, I was just struggling there.
Well, congratulations, you've just made it. That's Shadrach, the man, the final person to come through and make the cutoff. So this is where it's at. This is the final, and all the people that just came after him did not make it. But we're just going to throw and go through to the other side and see if we can get more people coming through. And we've got Robin here. Robin, congratulations. How was it, your first Comrades Marathon?
My first. It was so emotional. It was such an awesome day, but really, really difficult.
What made you come here? What was it that inspired you to come and run your first ever Comrades Marathon?
My 40th this year, and I've seconded for so long, it's time to run it.
And what sort of training did you have to go through? It looks like it paid off.
Not enough. Not enough.
Are we seeing you again next year? You'll think about it.
I'll have to think about it.
Right. Congratulations, Robin, there. And of course, fantastic stuff, quite emotional stuff. Some just did not make it. They had to block them off. We're handing you back to Ian to give us more.
Robin from Westville there. She's going to be surrounded by Comrades runners down in Durban. She'll be back next year. And with 2 minutes and 42 seconds gone after the end of the 2014 Comrades Marathon, we'll go to an ad break. And then after that, Valen Kirtley in the studio.
You know the moment. It comes when it wants, out of nowhere. When quit and keep going sit neck and neck. So you choose, and success conquers failure. Mind passes body. Finished becomes finish. This is the moment. It's why you run.
The Comrades Marathon 2014, the 89th running of the race, will definitely be remembered for one of the most exciting elite men's and elite women's races that we saw playing out between Pietermaritzburg and Durban, and just so much happening after 70 kilometers. It's something that we, when it comes to the commentary team, have not been able to stop speaking about. And also, it was a very good day for South Africans. The top three in the men's race, all hailing from South Africa, and of course the winner, Bongamusa Mthembu, is a local man coming from KZN, and the man who trains him, a man that has been with him since February this year and training him, Ian Underberg is now in studio with me, and that's William Tolo. Willie, I mean, I saw how you were inside that commentary booth. You were just jumping up and down, and as you started seeing that Bongamusa was approaching Sahara Stadium in Kingsmead, you said, guys, I have to get downstairs, I have to just go and, greet Bongamusa.
I was so excited, I couldn't hold it on. And indlela agijime ngabo uMusa ngicela ukuthi ugijime ngendlela abesiplane ngayo. Ngingabongeli kubo uMusa wonke nje ngibongele nomncedisi. Umncedisi ngicela ukuthi nayo omnye i-product yami. And actually I had 3 people in the first 15. I mean the first, because my other athlete finished 16. So really my athlete did very well. I'm very, very proud of Bongamusa the way he ran, but he ran exactly the way we planned.
And you had said after the race at the finish line, you said, you know what, if people would just give me more athletes, I'll make more champions.
Actually, I've got a lot of athletes that I've been training. Tubale Tupago is my product. Baninga batting batrela was not that is not to boom some tempo or not to what baninga batting batrela. I've got a lot of athletes that I've been training, top athletes.
All right, well, we'll chat a little bit about some of the development that you're doing, because it really is fantastic stuff. But Ross, I think that today has been one of the most exciting races. When it comes to that men's race, the lead in front just changed 3 times in the space of about 15 kilometers. And really, by the time they were at Cowie's Hill, you did not know who the winner would be.
Well, it was unbelievable. It changed more than 3 times, because first we had Gert Thijs going off, as he always does, and blowing the race up early. Then Marco Mambo went into the lead, and both of them ended up on the side of the road. So there was drama there. And then you had this group of 6 men, which was, talk about pedigree. You had the defending champion, you had a 3-time champion, you had multiple gold medalists, you had a man who'd come 3rd and 2nd in the last 2 races. And from the bottom of Cowie's, it was just one guy after the next taking shots at making the race theirs. And what we eventually saw is Bongamusa Mthembu made the big move, and he managed to run that section of Cowie's Hill 3.5 minutes faster than anyone else. And that's where the race was won. We then saw other athletes trying to catch him. They faded. There were gaps made. Gaps were closed. It was unbelievable racing. Just the kind of Comrades that I can't remember seeing in a long time, because of the quality and the depth. Just one of the best men's races we've seen, and complemented thereafter by an unbelievable women's race too.
We'll chat a little bit about the women's race, but I just want to chat a little bit about those tactics that Bongamusa actually employed to be able to win the race. You say that you guys had that planned tactically, and he actually went according to plan, and that's why he won the race. So what had you guys planned then after Cowie's?
Yes, if you remember when Mabobolo won it. Bong Musa, he finished second that year, 2012. Yes. But Bong Musa, he just made just a small mistake not to win that year. But Bong Musa, when we trained this year, from February, up in the back, we planned that coming to Pinetown, he must make sure that he's there, not come too late. But he ran exactly the way we planned. We saw him that he was very strong. And he didn't look at the back, he just concentrated all the way. That's how we planned the race. And I had no doubt, I mean, being training very fit. And I must also thank the other guys that they were training with him, because they also helped him a lot. They were pushing very hard. We knew that Bong Musa, if he don't win the race, definitely must finish in the first three.
Right, you speak about somebody not winning the race. Even if you don't win a medal, you'll still be able to dance at the finish line. And these are just some of the pictures that are coming through. Those people that have been out on the road all day, unfortunately, they won't, however, be getting a medal for it. But I often think, how do these guys motivate themselves then to come back and try another year?
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the difference between, say, 11 hours 59 and 50 seconds and 12 hours and 1 minute, over 12 hours, 2 minutes is, I mean, it's literally nothing. And so it's so arbitrary that we celebrate one and not the other. So I think these athletes can be equally proud because they've made the journey. Let's face it, they might have not made it in the time they wanted, but they've made the journey. And hopefully they will be back next year and the year after to get the medal for making the journey. So there's still a lot to celebrate. And that's why you see they're so happy, despite the fact that they know that things haven't quite gone according to plan. They've still conquered themselves and the distance. Next time will be the time as well.
All right, we just saw a very happy Japanese athlete crossing the finish line here at the Comrades Marathon. But of course, that 12-hour cutoff gun has already gone. So unfortunately, none of these athletes will be getting a medal. We speak about the women. I mean, the women's race was just phenomenal from the outset. When we saw Elena and Olesia going through halfway, 4 minutes ahead of the chasing women, we knew that they were going out at a pace that they would not be able to continue with.
Under normal circumstances, yes, but it was the Nagalievas, so it's business as usual, right? And I mean, that lead of 4 minutes, by the time they got to 59k, was 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes. And so it really did look like business as usual. But then business kind of went bankrupt for the Nagalievas, and they didn't end the race well at all. And under normal circumstances, they might have gotten away with it, but they didn't bargain on the presence of one Ellie Greenwood, because she finished so quick. I mean, an amazing stat is that the final 7 kilometers of this race, Ellie Greenwood covered faster than any single person other than one man. In other words, she was faster than the men's winner, second place, third place, fourth and fifth. That's how quickly she finished, and it was an impressive performance. She judged it well, she waited, she hung back, and she was the benefactor of the Nagalievas' bad day, but really she earned that win with an unbelievable last 10k.
And when you come into planning the Comrades Marathon, Willie, you've done it as a runner yourself, as a gold medalist yourself, and as a trainer. I mean, how do you have to factor that in? Because so much can happen in the 79 kilometers preceding that final 10, where just so much can happen, can go wrong, and can win you the race, as we saw with Ellie Greenwood in those final 7Ks.
You know, it's really a lot of work, you know. It's not only the one day work, you know. We planned since November last year. When we went to the camp, we planned, and we used to come down to Durban to run the course. We knew exactly, Bong Musa, at the stage we must be with there. We ran our race, we didn't run anybody's race. That's how Bong Musa ran the race. He didn't care about anybody. I said to him, if you're there in front, you must run, concentrate. If somebody come and catch you, well, he catch you. But concentrate, run according to the way we train. Because when we were training in Underberg, we were doing a lot of hills and downs. So he had everything. There's nothing wrong with him. You saw him the way he ran. He was very strong. Even his body, he was very strong.
All right, lovely stuff. That's William Toller just speaking about the men's champion, Bong Musa Mthembu. And we've spoken about the two fantastic races equally on either side when it comes to the men's race, as well as that awesome win by Ellie Greenwood in the women's race, as Elena came second and Olesia third. If you missed anything that happened earlier on today in the elite races, let's bring it back. Well, let's rather bring you some of the highlights as we go back to Ian in commentary, who will take us through what happened in both the men's and women's races.
early this morning. It was a fantastic early morning, and as we got through the race, the chopping and the changing amongst the men's leaders was absolutely remarkable. And eventually it was Bongmusa Matembu that came through with a decisive move towards the end, and he built up a lead, and the guys were chasing him. And from early on there was many people that tried, but it was Bongmusa Matembu that finally came through to win the 2014 Comrades Marathon, trained and assisted by former second place runner and commentator William Ntolo, the first KwaZulu-Natal man home, the first South African man home, and the winner of the race overall after many years of trying.
And a wonderful greeting from William Ntolo, his coach and his friend.
So well done to Bongmusa. It's a long time since we've had a winner from KwaZulu-Natal, and Rowan James, the race director, there on hand to help him. And eventually it wasn't fatigue. In fact, we heard afterwards it was just overwhelming emotion that brought him. And then it was one of the crowd's favourites, and looking very strong indeed, was Ludwig Mamabola in second.
Had a wonderful run, and also just added to the excitement that we've seen today of the lead chopping and changing. At some stage, Ludwig wasn't lying in second. He moved through the field, picking up his second.
And he showed us how to enjoy a second place finish. He was the last down winner, and seems to be equally as thrilled with his second place.
So Ludwig Mamabola made it 1-2 for the Nedbank Club and also for South Africa, and their team manager Nick Bester was on hand to welcome them. And then Gift Kalehe, the younger brother of Andrew, made it through for another gold medal after a superb tactical run that saw him come through, hung on for a top 3 position, and the tiny man weighing in at under 50 kilograms got the 3rd place. And then the 3-time winner Stephen Mozingi got 4th.
And a popular placed athlete, with people rating him, knowing that he was going to come through the field and pick up the 4th place.
And then it was Rufus Porto, gold medalist last year, and also mixed up at one stage. In fact, he took the lead earlier on at some point, and such was the intensity of the racing that Rufus got back. And then after that, it was the Msindisi Mkhize, the second of the KwaZulu-Natal and the first of the Maxed Elite runners to come through to take another gold medal for the men from KwaZulu-Natal. Jonas Budd, the Swede, was second last year. This year, not quite so good.
But looking great, and obviously enjoying his run, and obviously he was delighted with his gold medal.
Yes, he was the multiple winner of the marathon overseas, the Swiss Alpine Marathon. And then William Makwala got another medal for the Toyota team. Another solid performance from him. The Toyota man has been there and thereabouts for many years. And then Prodigal Khumalo for Zimbabwe, getting another gold medal from the men from the north of the border. Another medal in the golds was went to Samankor and Makofani, and Latudi Makofani got the last gold medal. So 2 gold medals there for the Samankor Chrome team. Bongmusa Matembu, the winner, under 5:30. And the 10th place went to Latudi Makofani, 10th gold medal in 5:40. And there was really at the end only one person in it, covering the last 7 kilometers. Only one runner, one of the men, came through faster. Ellie Greenwood blew away Nana Galievas to take her first win. She was second 2 years ago, and Ellie Greenwood was absolutely unstoppable at the finish.
She took the lead with just a couple of kilometers to go and managed to open up a 5-minute gap, which just shows how devastatingly fast she was running, and also strangely how the twins were struggling so much towards the end. What a battle they had.
And fresh and able to converse with everybody at the finish line. She was such a pleasure for everyone, happy and just in such a positive frame of mind, and keen to come back and do this race again.
Well, it looks like perhaps possibly a new chapter opening up in the Comrades Marathon Women's Race, but it was 8 times winner Elena Nagalieva, yet another gold medal for her, this time second place, but totally exhausted. But hats off to the Nagalieva twins, Elena, for coming second.
And what a wonderful display of guts and determination. I mean, broken, disappointed, obviously, not to defend the title, but still showing just what they're made of, both of them running very bravely at the end.
And closely followed by her sister Lisa also, who'd been battling off and on right throughout the race and has had a tough time, but just hung in there. And I think this just shows the strength that these sisters have demonstrated over their many years at the Comrades Marathon.
Had it not been for Ellie Greenwood, of course, we would have had another one too, but Ellie was there to spoil the Nagalieva party, and both the Nagalieva sisters ended up in the medical tent afterwards in some distress. But it wasn't such for the next Russian in fourth place, Irina Antropova, the second of the Nedbank runners to come through, and it was another gold medal for her, another solid run.
Yeah.
So Antropova, a little bit wobbly, but able to stand at the finish, and Nedbank collecting another gold medal. Nick Bester there to welcome Antropova home. And then it was the British runner, Jo Meek, in fifth place. Her novice race, the first novice home in fifth place, and a good solid run, listening to some advice from people about the course. So Jo Meek got a gold medal.
And then the first South African, Caroline Worsman, coming in. What a great run for her. She's been plotting this gold medal for a couple of years, had some injury disappointments, but she got there, got a gold medal, and the first South African home.
Well done to Caroline Worsman from the Midrand area, if I'm not mistaken.
And then the darling of the crowd, Zola Bud Petersen, unbelievable. She said she was going for a silver medal, and here she was getting a gold medal in an absolutely stunning time at the age of 48. I think arguably the run of the day by anybody.
1 hour and some change better than last year when she ran with Bruce Fordyce, coming home just over 8 hours. Fantastic run by Zola in the Hooters Club. And then we had an athlete from Sweden in the next place.
Frida Sodermark is probably the first Swedish woman to come in and pick up a gold medal in the Comrades Marathon. Came in with good pedigree. Found it quite difficult, but in speaking to her after the race, did enjoy it.
Did look a little bit wobbly on her legs and a bit tired. That's what you expect after the down run. Very, very punishing on the legs. But Sodermark it was that ran another smart race. And then another absolutely wonderful run from Martinique Potgieter, coming down from the Limpopo province to take her first gold medal. Well done to Martinique. And Rufus Porter, her clubmate, also gold medalist, picking up two of them coming through for gold medals. And the 10th gold medal was Giuliani Besson getting another 10th place. So another South African coming through in the top 10. So those were that was the top 10 women in the Comrades Marathon in 2014. So let's have a look at that. Ellie Greenwood, under 6:20. The two Nagalievas, Jo Meek, Caroline Worsman, Giuliani Besson for South Africa, picking up the final gold medal in 7:03.
All right, so out of the top 10 women here at the Comrades Marathon, 4 of them South Africa when it comes to the men's race. 7 out of the top 10 belonged to South African men. And a great win by Bongamusam Tembu. Yes, he's from KZN, and it was a fantastic run from him. He won in a time of 5 hours 28:34. He was 4 minutes 41 ahead of Ludwig Mamabolo, who was in second place. Those are just some of the photos from the finish area here in Durban, which is where our studio has been based. You saw some of the emergency cars that are out on the road, and I think that Comrades is so much more than just the 12 hours that the race is actually on, because there's lots that happens prior and there's also lots that happens after, as what we're seeing now, Dr. Ross.
Yeah, I mean, when you put 14,300 odd people on the start line and they're going to run to 89k, you're going to get 14,200 stories, and that's what you see. And that's 14,200 reasons to run, and every single one of these athletes will have some explanation of what's happened, hopefully a good one. But sadly there we were looking at footage of a Netcare vehicle attending to an athlete who collapsed just outside the stadium, and there were a few actually. I mean, I've watched a lot of Comrades, and maybe it's just one of those recency things because it's the most recent one, but today produced a lot of dramatic finishes. There were men crawling over the line, someone collapsed within 20 meters of the line and didn't finish. So it's a pretty significant day, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and while it may not have been as hot and maybe not as much made of the conditions as we saw last year, it was quite a warm day out there, and when you are running with the heat and the wind as it came up much later in the day, and it was very windy for the last hour of the race, that plays on those athletes that have been out there for so long, whose bodies have been working at its optimum for such a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you take the heat of Comrades, because overseas, if a marathon is run at over 20 degrees Celsius, they reckon it's a risk for heat problems.
Sure.
And scientifically we know that if you're going to run a really good marathon, 15, 16, 17 degrees is about as hot as you can afford for it to be. So we always get hotter than that. Plus you have the hills. I mean, most marathons around the world wouldn't even consider running the hills of Comrades. Plus you have the distance. And so any one of those three things by itself is a challenge. And then you put them all in one pot together, and that's the reason you see the footage that we see today. This is a brutal event, actually, and that's why we celebrate it as much as we do.
Willie, we're just made tough, aren't we, here in South Africa?
Definitely. No, our races are very, very tough. Whenever you run in South Africa, you must know that you'll climb the hills.
I mean, being from KZN and having one of your runners win today, and yourself having competed in the race, winning 4 gold medals, I mean, just how much does this race mean to the people of KwaZulu-Natal?
We wanted, a Natal winner for a long time, and we've been waiting very, very long. And he made us very proud. Even myself, I feel that I've won the race the way Musa he ran. I was so happy. Even now, I still can't believe, I don't know how I'm going to sleep, the way I'm so happy.
And, when you run the races week in and week out, hearing KZN, and you know exactly what KZN Athletics does with development. You've got some development programs that you're also running. You know just how passionate this province is about road running and about its sporting event, the Comrades Marathon. So I suppose it also speaks to that finally we've got our champion, and the fact that this is our race, it belongs to KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes, when people that they were phoning me, there were so many people phoning me saying, Willie, well done, you have won the race. We've tried so much to win that race, but today you have won it. And and I hope that it's not only Bongmusa that can win the Comrades Marathon. There's a lot of talent, and I do believe that it's not only Bongmusa can win the race, but we've got some other people. We need to do a lot of work because there's a lot of talent. But most of the people who are talented are in rural areas. So we need some people to go there, dig that talent.
Yeah, we certainly do need those people to bring them out of there, but maybe even take the infrastructure to those communities, because you also want the whole community to get active. I see you nodding your head there, Dr. Tucker. I mean, it is something that we need to be seeing in communities around South Africa.
Yeah, and one of the things we need to do is to try and leverage the icons. I mean, one of today, Bruce said it was the best performance of the day. I think that's slightly sentimental, but Zola Budd finishing 7th in that women's race, that was very meaningful, because there was the support she received the whole way, people chanting Zola, Zola. I know you spoke to her afterwards. That's symptomatic, I think, of the fact that we need these kinds of recognizable names who can show people the way. I mean, it's all good and well to talk about needing to do ABC. It's much easier to follow someone else. And so one of the big reasons Willie is successful, identifying the talent and then developing it, is because he's walked the path himself. And so it's really important, I think, for us to try and capitalize on these guys. The guys like Claude Mashiwa won last year. Before him it was Mama Bolo. Now obviously we've got Bongmusa. It's very important, I think, that someone must get hold of these guys and use them to grow the sport a little bit more, so that his win today doesn't stop in 2014. It produces 5 champions in 2024 or 2030 even. That's what we need to be aiming for, is sustainable development around heroes.
And I do hope that many people that decided to wake up very, very early from 5 o'clock in the morning, have been inspired by what they have seen today here at the Comrades Marathon. Thank you very much to William Tola. Thank you very much to Dr. Ross Tucker. Just two of the gentlemen that have been part of our commentary team that has been bringing you the 2014 Comrades Marathon throughout the day. I hope that you've been inspired, because I certainly have. It is a worthy challenge to take up for 2015. You have been watching the Comrades Marathon. This has been the ultimate human race. Goodbye and good night.